Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, we'll get some of you all to get in here. I'm Latanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, Passion, and Profits. And it is definitely my honor to jump in here today. I just finished another fabulous session, and I want to say happy International Women's Day. Hopefully you all can hear me okay. I want to do a quick little test to make sure that everyone can hear me. I want to turn on the comments. Hey, listen, I tried to get the broadcast to go live inside of Rebirth Woman. So if you're watching and you can grab the link and drop it like it's hot in our group, that I would greatly, greatly appreciate that as I get my little hair here together. No, okay. No, really. So, yeah, so I am so happy to be here on Womanhood Wisdom Wednesday. Happens to be full moon energy today. You all know that I absolutely love looking at the energy that we are working with on any given day, right? So I'm gonna try to add Rebirth Woman again and see what happens here. And hopefully I don't mess anything up. So you all can join in. So I really want to engage you today on releasing and the benefits of releasing hidden contracts and agreements. And somebody out there saying, why this? So glad you asked. Well, because it is full moon energy, because we are in the pre-planting season of a new year. The true new year happens around this time. Now, can you listen to this at any time of the year and benefit? Absolutely. Because choice overrides anything that's happening, or most things. When I reference the timing and the season of things, what it offers is a potent energy. It offers alignment. It offers ease. It offers an opportunity to do things in a way that supports your goal and your vision to move forward. And sometimes when you do certain things, so for instance, if we were to use gardening, which absolutely is a perfect example of timing, the almanac. My grandmother taught me to always have an almanac. I actually need to get one for this year. She taught me certain things like when to cut my hair, when not to cut my hair, and how it affects your growing season. Peace and blessings upon the energy, the power of my grandmother that's even coming through right now to even share that with somebody that's watching. She taught me the timing of things, and that alone opened me. I remember her telling me, "The baby, don't cut your hair in February and March. It's not gonna grow the same." And you all know I just had a big old haircut and everything. So I'm doing protective styles until I can get to that season. I'm doing that intentionally. So that is why when I come in and I reference the new moon, the full moon, or it's a general way for women in particular to become more attuned with what's happening, so that you're not just, nothing just happens, right? And you're not just letting life happen to you. You are aware. Because a lot of times when we are deeply spiritual and when we are even awakening, I'm not talking about when we're unconscious, because you got to understand that about 85% of the population is unconscious. Life is just happening. People are just responding to what's happening in their life. Very few people have chosen to awaken and be aware of what's happening inch by inch, moment by moment, hour by hour, day by day. If that's you, high five. Congratulations. This is why I do these Wednesday talks for you, because you are special, you are unique, you are different. And oftentimes you are called for a time in a season such as this. You were aware of things and thinking about these things long before you even accepted your calling to walk into these awarenesses. This is why I talk about the timing when I come on. And I say this because many of us have been programmed to be afraid of things that we don't know or that sounds different, particularly because I speak energy. And so when I speak energy, that means I'm speaking to humanity, because we're energetic beings. Oftentimes we've been taught to speak to a denomination. We've been taught to speak, hey, the people are coming in saying, hey, tribe, hey, sisters. Okay. So when we understand this, it becomes second nature. This is a Virgo full moon. So the full moon prepares you to release so that you can make room. Somebody just say, make room, make room, make room. I'm making room. I'm making room. It is, again, like farming, in which I'm learning so much from my husband and reactivating my DNA, because my grandmother was a farmer. My family were farmers. My grandmother, when I used to wake up in the morning, gosh, she's coming through so strong today. Peace and blessings upon her spirit. And yes, I receive you, Granny. But me and my cousins, when we would spend the night, I wish my cousins were watching, they could testify that when we would wake up in the morning, our grandmother was outside in her garden, picking vegetables, hoeing. She'd come in with things in her pocket. She would walk in the house, and that might be the greens that we ate, or the squash, or the bell peppers. Anybody else can relate to having a grandmother like that. So when we're talking about timing, you become the farmer, you become the gardener of your own life. I'm talking today about releasing hidden contracts and agreements. But I'm still on this soil thing. This is nothing but spirit, because I didn't plan it like this. In fact, I'm going to jump into what I did plan, but I'm going to let spirit use me. Somebody just give me permission. Say, let spirit use you. Because one of the things I learned from my husband is you don't wait until it's the planting season for the thing that's in season. You start preparing the soil. The soil has to be prepared. Sometimes you start preparing the soil at the end of the season, that winter even. You can even prepare your soil in the winter season, where it seems like things are dormant. We're learning from all types of homesteaders and other cultivators of really how to work with nature. Some of the things that we've been taught about farming, and some of us have totally disconnected completely from it. And I'm telling you, it's so humbling. Farmers are a national treasure. And there's so much more I could say about pay attention to agriculture and farming and such, and politically, why it's so important, what has been done to farmers. In fact, I've said this before, that many of us come from generations of where we can remember the sharecroppers in our family. And when we started to get college degrees, we had shame about getting, coming back with your college degree to work on your daddy, granddaddy, great granddaddy's little farm. And so we begin to lose our property. We see that happening even in gentrification in our cities, where we don't have value for certain things. That's a great place to usher us into releasing hidden contracts and agreements. because some of the hidden contracts and agreements, we didn't know what we didn't know. And we started to function on so many different hidden factors because information was withheld depending on your generation, especially if you were raised by someone in the silent generation or silent generation. They did not talk, they only instructed. They didn't tell you stories in history and past. In fact, a lot was hidden. A lot is often hidden right in our own families. Come on now, let me know you there. Don't just look at me. Talk back to me. Ouch or amen. Then there, after the silent generation, is the baby boomers. You all have heard me say this before. And the baby boomers oftentimes were the ones who maintained the status quo. They were the gatekeepers. Many of them did go off to college, and they wanted their children to go off to college and do what they did, ride up the corporate ladder. Contracts and agreements. And this is how we have people who are on the cusp of baby boomer and Gen X that start saying, I'm living somebody else's life. This is not what I wanted. But my mom paid all this money. My family paid all this money for me to go to school. They sacrificed for me. So I have had doctors who come to work with me who realize they are only doctors because of that default hidden contract and agreement. It's not what they really wanted. It's not what their soul really called them to do. There's a story of a very famous celebrity photographer who actually was going to school to be a doctor. But what lit her up, what called her, was makeup, doing makeup. And so the process of vilification that she went through and judgment was her healing process. But now when she was working in theater, traveling with artists, it became more acceptable. Hidden contracts and agreements. Some of us have hidden contracts and agreements, like the good girl story. You go to school, you get good grades, you get married. And so what happens is when you deviate off of that course, maybe you became a teen mother, or maybe you were promiscuous, but you had to hide it. You had to suppress your sensual and sexual energy because the hidden agreement was, don't shame my family. Don't do this. Go follow and do it in this order. Maybe you've chosen, you're childless, maybe by choice. And I always qualify this when I say without children by choice, because any of us who don't have physical children could be mothers had we chosen to adopt, foster. So to a degree, it's choice. Biology sometimes plays a factor, but what about the shame? Because when people ask you, how about, like when you get married and the first thing people start asking you is when the baby coming? That's a cultural one, right? So we're talking today about hidden contracts and agreements, because when we do our ritual work, our clearing work, when we start doing our visioning work for our business, when we start looking at our personal projects for ourselves, oftentimes there are factors that play a role in blocking us or slowing us down or distracting us. And then self-judgment sets in, inertia sets in, personal frustration sets in, or sometimes overcompensation. Y'all with me? Come on now. Come on now. Somebody said, let spirit use you. Come on now. Yes, history shapes her story, my story. Come on now. Yes, I love it when y'all talk back. I was supposed to work in a factory. That was my hidden contract and agreement, but I deviate. Yes, talk that talk. Come on now. Or the shame of not being married. Yes. How does your family treat you? We even have hidden contracts that every black person is supposed to be a Democrat or one party. And even for those who are other who watch this, it may be because that same contract is reversed depending on the culture. There are people who started waking up and saying, well, shucks, I was just a Republican because my family told me I had to be. Some people feed the racists in or some ist, because it's not just one ism. We all have a ism. Sometimes it's fed by hidden contracts and agreements. Come on now, am I walking down your street yet? Because what I want you to do is an exercise with me. I want you to imagine the school cafeteria. I want you to imagine the school cafeteria. Everybody got that image in your head, the school cafeteria? I know people are getting kicked off. I'll say it again if I have to. Let me know if you got the school cafeteria in your mind's eye. Imagine your in fact, imagine your high school, junior high or high school cafeteria. I don't know about your school, but oftentimes there was a line, there was two sides. You know, depending on the school, you entered in on one side, you know, it may just be two lines. Some people had to enter in if they had dietary issues on one side. You know what I mean? So you get it, right? But it's big, right? And then by the time you're in high school, certain people sit at certain tables. I don't know. Am I right? Is this true for you? For instance, football players used to all sit together, right? Right? The nerds would sit together, or just certain crews would sit together. Y'all got it? Come on, talk back to me. Talk back to me. Y'all got the image? High school cafeteria. Okay. And what would happen in the high school cafeteria very often is, okay, yeah, somebody said the popular crowd. Yeah, right? The introverts, the extroverts. You do you see what's happening here? Come on, call out some of the other things I didn't call out. The athletes, the football players, the basketball players. Come on, y'all. Cheerleaders. What about the cheerleaders? Right? High school. Now, come on, y'all. I don't know what BSU is. What's BSU? Band student or something? Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. We can't leave out the band. Yes. College was a little different because your schedules were different if you experienced a college campus, but it was still there. Anybody, if I left out anything, just let me know, because everybody is at a different age group. You may have experienced the school cafeteria very different. Like for instance, where I live, you couldn't just go outside on campus. Like there were in your college in your high school cafeteria, was there teachers on duty? Was there principals outside checking to make sure you didn't go off? Now, some people may have gone to a school where they could go to tables. Sometimes seniors could leave, right? And Lord knows, let's talk about that. The seniors, when you were an underclassman in the high school cafeteria, y'all with me? Come on. Okay, Black Student Union, the Roughnecks. I didn't even think about that, because they were the ones that was trying to leave campus most of the time, go somewhere and smoke or drink or whatever. Do you see what we just did? We categorize people. And if you walked in, if you were a shy person, how did you feel? Oh yeah, the neighborhood crew. Now, depending on what area you grew up in, that could literally translate to gang. Right? I forgot what we call it. I forgot what it's called in DC. It's not called gangs in DC. It couldn't. Oh, really? Y'all go home for lunch? Oh, wow. Tell me about that. How's that walking in the neighborhood? I forgot what it's called in DC. I've been gone so long. It's not called gangs. Somebody help me out. DC. It got one DC person in here, I think. It's not called gangs in DC. What is it called? But the point is, you see how we categorize people. Now imagine how you walked in the cafeteria. Did you walk into the cafeteria with confidence? Were you always in line with your crew, or did you have to go find your crew? For me, I just didn't like crowds like that. Even though my friend, my homegirl is in the comments, she tells me that I was a part of the popular crew. I didn't think like that, right? So because I wasn't really an athlete. I was in the band. I did some things, I was in RTC. I did some things, I was in the Student Government Association, stuff like that. I did have family, that went to school for a little while, but my homegirl in here, I don't know if she's in here. Karen, you gotta let me know. She says she called me a part of the Pretty Girl Popular Crew. Now that was somebody giving me feedback almost 30 years later. But I didn't think like that coming in to a cafeteria. I was almost cringing inside, even though I was hungry. I actually don't remember sitting at a table with my crew. Probably I did. And it probably was so automatic. But now not only did we categorize people, we're looking at our response to how we're interacting in an environment. Y'all with me? This must be Karen talking. Okay. It said that depending on your neighborhood, they call you Southeast Hood Rise. No, not that. I'm talking about the other name for gangs. I can't think of the name for gangs in DC right now. So you see what we just did? We categorize, then we even start to define. Who would have thought? Somebody said the ones who skipped school, they were the roughnecks, right? Some people say we met and we walked together, and that's true. Some of my friends, we met, we walked together. Sometimes, and if you were real, okay, wait a minute, this is good to capture. She said that segregation was so present. Okay, thank you. Because depending on your generation, that even is a factor. Thank you for bringing that, right? Someone said my school, no one hung out in the cafeteria. Well, we didn't have a choice. We didn't have a choice. The other thing that I want us to see is, what do they see, and how do you know that that's what they see? What do you see? What you see in a person, just like I think my friend Karen said, I think she's in here, my homegirl, said she wouldn't have ever thought that about me. What she saw was different from what I felt. I hated the cafeteria with all them people in there. I was a skinny girl. We lived in the South with a bunch of girls where BBLs was not needed because people had big old onion booties. I didn't. I had other things, but I wasn't really aware of all my assets. And so what was I thinking? What were you thinking? Or were you not thinking? Did you not even care? What do they see and how they see you? Because these are how we get to contracts. Hidden contracts and agreements. They begin with our archetypes, our human behavior, our body types, our personality, light or shadow. That's how we begin. Y'all with me? Contracts and agreements. Now, that's one of the ways, but contracts and agreements can go deeper than that. As we begin to mature, there's all different types of contracts. I think I want to tell you the types before I tell you how they show up. You want to know how they show up? Okay, I see. I said I wasn't aware of my Blackness. I learned how to accept and get along. I didn't know how powerful I was as a Black woman. Thank you so much for sharing that. Because I also went to a predominantly white school before I came to a Black school. Let me. Can I share too? If you feel this, let me know. But I went to a Catholic school first. My cousin and I went to Catholic school first, and then we transferred over into a junior high school. So check this out. I see this now as an adult, but people who grew up in neighborhoods together, they also had certain contracts and agreements, and I didn't, because we drove to school. Somebody said that I got bused to school, or that, see, hidden contracts and agreements. So everybody's lived experience is different of a thing. Even when we get together now as adults, we have gatherings here in Atlanta. I get to hook up with my original crew from high school. That's a blessing, because everybody that don't necessarily can say they still friends with the same people. But I was the kind of person where I didn't change my crew that much. Let me tell you why. Contracts, hidden contracts and agreements, although all contracts are not hidden. But my sister used to tell me, you don't be changing your friends like that. Be careful of people who be changing friends every week. Smile in your face. You see what I'm saying? Hidden contracts and agreements. You could probably drop some of the ones that you had. Some of your contracts and agreement was, don't walk down this particular street after a certain time. Hidden contracts and agreements, they show up even now today. Your children are operating on hidden contracts and agreements that you don't know anything about. So let me just talk about the types real quick before I say how some of them show up. Let me know if you want to know how some of them can show up. What's up, sis? You're the only person, which I love it. Look, this is how it looks when you give permission. You see your name. And let me tell you as a tip, when you are a business owner, when you are promoting something, don't be anonymous, honey. This is an opportunity. You see what she has it as? Project execute, honey. So when I highlight her comment, people get a chance to see you. Boy, y'all better pay attention. But hidden contracts and agreements, to be anonymous, to sit in the back, to not talk, to not engage. Hidden contracts and agreements. Hidden contracts and agreements show up like that. And I help people all the time privately. And of course, for about 1.5 million to viewers to see also. So we have mental contracts that are conscious and unconscious. Sometimes our mindset, or most of the time, our mindset influences those contracts and agreements, and our mindset follows us everywhere. And we collect different mindsets about different areas of our life along the way. So there's the mental, the unconscious, and the conscious. Then there's the spiritual and religious. Now, I gave y'all two. I want you all to call out two more contracts. Come on. I want you to throw out two more contracts before I just give them to you. Because the two that I gave are already layered. Because you can have a mindset about several different things: money, sex, women, men, relationships, marriage, all of these things. Yes, I said spiritual and religious. So church counts, the mosque counts, African traditional religions count, all of it counts. Synagogue counts. Nothing at all counts. Emotional contracts. Yes, emotional contracts. That's right. And this is where trauma comes into play. This is where trauma comes into play, or emotional freedom and confidence and that type of thing. Race relation, that's a good one. I did not have that one listed. Race relations is a contract, and I'm going to resist the urge to teach on that, because that's a contract that you don't always have to be in, even when the culture is, but it's not always easy to navigate. But as you evolve spiritually and other ways, you don't play that particular game, the race game. So the other two are cultural contracts. And there's different types of culture. And because there's different types of culture, another contract is a code switching contract. You all know what I'm talking about? If cultural feeds the code switching, you want to tell me how we end up showing up bipolar? Because we talk a certain way with this group and then we code switch somewhere else. Okay? Y'all with me? Those are some of the types of contracts. Now, what about how they show up? I want you to give me an example of at least one. How would you say a mental contract would show up, like a conscious one? Someone gave me one early. I want to see if I can grab it. I don't know if you knew you were giving me. Here you go. Here's a conscious contract. I couldn't sleep at my white friend's house. That's a conscious contract and agreement. And I will tell you, I grew up too with certain things that I just couldn't do, because the agreement, or the agreement, I could be found in a ditch dead somewhere, or unalive, cancel dead, because they filter and everything. So you with me? Okay. So we just gave two for conscious. What are some unconscious contracts and agreements? Unconscious. Is that an unconscious being on a job you don't like? Or is it a conscious? Or can it be both? I'm waiting. I want you to tell me. Okay. Tell me if being on a job you don't like is a contract and agreement that's conscious or unconscious. Because one generation might say that it is just a part of the territory. Another generation may be suffering through it. And this newer generation is saying absolutely not. And so we have the whole quit movement, right? Okay. So it varies, right? Okay. So then give me an example of a spiritual or religious, and they're not the same. I know that people tend to use them as the same, but they're not. So give me an example of a spiritual or a religious contract. Hidden contract. Come on. We talked about it a little earlier. I gave you some stuff to marinate on. Don't quit your good government job. I got to put that one on. That is that a spiritual or religious? Oh, this is a good one. This is a religious one. Burning incense is the devil. That's a good religious contract or agreement. Okay. What else? Any more religious contract or agreement? What's a cultural contract or agreement? Give me a cultural contract of agreement. Ignoring or fighting off bad energy. What does that mean? I don't, is that a spiritual one? Sounds spiritual, but it could be something else. Okay. Did you mean to say don't question God? Is that what you mean? That's definitely, now that's a good one. Don't question God is definitely a religious contract. Okay. Okay. All right. Cultural. Black people don't do that. White people do this. Asians do that. Like, these are some of the cultural things, right? You with me? Oh, this is a good one. Okay, y'all are very race focused today. Okay, but that is cultural though. That is a cultural one, right? Certain things, but like cultural can also be like walk into a house, you speak to people, right? When you walk, you don't walk into a southern home and don't greet everyone. Hey, grandma. Hey, especially your elders. Hey, Auntie Tess, how you doing? Hey, Uncle Irvin, how you doing? Right? You don't do that, right? Right? You speak to your neighbors, right? Come on, y'all. Come on, culture. You got it. Yes. Another, these are contracts and agreements, and your house might have had some, and then when you get married you find out, or you dating, you find out that another, they grew up different. They could be on the same side of town as you, but if their culture was different. My husband's from New Orleans, I'm from Mississippi. There's some things that absolutely are perfectly aligned. There are other things where they're not. Sometimes I talk to people from New York who are their people are from the Caribbean, and then when I say certain things a southern way, they have no clue. They're like, you're speaking that southern-ish, and I don't know what you're talking about. That hidden contracts and agreements. I had another just the other day, we were sitting at a table. The person is younger than both of us at the table. I made a church reference to a scripture, and she was like, now, I grew up Yoruba. I don't know nothing about them church references. But her mother did. You see what I'm saying? Agreements, and that shapes a lot of what we experience in our life, how we move through things, how we get stuck, right? Okay. So I want to go through a few of how some of these contracts and agreements show up. Sometimes they'll show up as using someone else's voice in your business, in your love relationships, when it's time to settle conflict, because you may not have had a voice, because your hidden contract might have been not to use your voice, especially if you're angry or dissatisfied. Or you may believe in a contract that when I speak or when I tell this truth, people will leave me, or I'm trying to avoid conflicts. Here's another one: cookie cutters that don't work for you in your business or your relationship. You go read the book of the 90-day rule, and now you walking around here talking about the 90-day. I'm gonna wait 90 days. Or you have a religious contract that, well, I don't want to be a hoe. I don't sleep with anybody on the first day. Come on now, y'all talk back to me. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Cookie cutters. This is big for business right now. So you sign up for something for somebody who made $1 million in 7 months, and you go and you want their system step by step, and then you try to do it and you fail miserably, and then you mad and you say that coach is a liar, and this, or they're making you promises because they were taught by a system to line it up like this, say it like this, and then they can't even deliver the way they were trained to do it. Cookie cutters. Another way to say this is fitting in boxes that dishonor your unique design, who you were called to be. But if you don't know this, then you are operating still on a hidden contract and agreement that fits you into a box. An institutional box. This institution told you to show up this way. This institution told you to think like this. Come on, y'all. Talk back to me. If your spirit not speaking, I know mine is. This is an altar call, girl. You could be delivered today. Okay, let me continue. spending your energy using systems that were broken in the first place. Oh my goodness. Spending your energy using systems that were already broken when they were given to you. And we can go from governmental institutions to now this public education right now. Commerce, we see institutions falling because they no longer work. The time and the season is up. And the pandemic absolutely gave us an opportunity to see what no longer worked. And then we want to return back to the normal we once knew. Somebody, I saw one comment already. I'm going to come back to your comments. Said family institutions that no longer work. It's holding secrets. That doesn't work for you, your generation, your calling, your anointing. You were the one, your mama might have held a secret. And you suffered because you didn't know that you would. Oh, come on, y'all. Come on. Yes. Inherited money objections. Inherited money objections. You walking around here saying this about money, believing that about money, or I'm afraid of money. I don't count money. Now here, you take the bill. Here, you take the bill. You count the bill. Shoot, give me the. I count the money. It's an archetype for everybody. Give me the money. I count it. Archetypes, personalities, all have a contract that show up in our lives. Filters for information coming in and information going out. These are hidden contracts and agreements where there's certain times, like for me, I know that there were times when in my life when I wasn't fully healed and I was protected. If I heard a certain tone, I automatically tuned it out. I couldn't receive it. If you use certain words, I couldn't hear it. Even now in your marketing, there's certain people who may listen to me who may think I'm hotep, may think I'm woo-woo. Put me in a category. So they have a filter about how they're going to even receive the information. There was a time when I first started teaching pleasure that I didn't know that people were afraid of the word. I'm going to tell you a quick story before I go into some of the things that you can walk away with today. There was this time, right, where Juicy was born. My girlfriend, Elder Vicki Johnson, Dr. Vicki Johnson, said, I want you to teach the pleasure zone or something like that. There were tables. And some of these people who are juicy butterflies can attest to this. So I want you to teach the pleasure zone. Now, mind you, I had already been teaching this sensuality. I had done the study work. I enrolled all of my friends to come take some classes and workshops with me. I was telling them what resources and books to study. I loved it. It was just something I loved. And she said, I want you to teach this. I said, what? Now, at that time, I was doing much more around purpose in my coaching practice and vision. I was kind of annoyed. I was like, why would she ask me to do that? And I in my mind, but I was honored to also be included too. And sure enough, how we create our own reality. We get there and everybody had to go to their table. So some of the tables might have been about, oh my God, marriage, something like that, improving your marriage relationship. Something else might have been about, I don't know. It was something more pure. Only a few people came to my table. I almost expected that because we were in a Christian-oriented crowd. My girlfriend stopped because she had a vision. She knew everybody who had enrolled. And she stopped the session. She said, Now, let me tell y'all something. And she said a few things to free them up around their shame, their fear of being judged, their whatever cultural contracts, religious and spiritual contracts. By the time she finished, my table was full to the running over to I had to turn people away because she spoke to the contracts that she knew her audience had. Now that ought to bless somebody. Because I know I come in here and I speak to your contracts, and sometimes it makes you uncomfortable. But these are the things that free you up. These are the things that open up your abundance. These are the things that improve your relationships, your marriage, your communication. These are the things that make you a attractor and not a chaser. These are the things that make you amplify in your gifts. I had to learn this myself. But you can't keep running, because even the running and the waiting and the hiding and the pretending or acting like you know it all, the filters, trying to do too many things, quick fixes, all of that is a contract. So here's some things I want you to ask yourself, because I'm getting ready to do a very special workshop, a weekend workshop, about 3 days. And if you do VIP 4, where you get a chance to learn these, what I call feminine source code. Now, if you know anything about feminine source code, honey, or source code is the code you write to program a computer. It's one of the highest paid jobs in the whole tech industry. If you can write code, you can build almost anything. What if you learn how to write and work with your own code? So here's some questions I want you to ask yourself around some of the contracts, hidden contracts and agreements. Because the answer is in the same room as the question. Sometimes you just haven't slowed down enough to ask the question, to be present for it. Why have I been born? Why you've been born speaks a lot to your sacred contract and agreement. How do I find my unique voice of the divine in me? My unique voice, not somebody else's unique voice, not somebody else's interpretation of the divine. Have you had an experience? And that can go with you anywhere, whether you have the microphone, you behind the chair, the cash register, you teaching in school, you building systems and operations, you're the executive, or you are the team lead. Come on now, talk to me. Number 3, what are the archetypes of my inheritance? Also, AKA earth commitments, because we have earth commitments and we have heavenly commitments. What are some of the lessons you came here with an agreement to learn? You think and tell the stories that what you experienced, you weren't supposed to experience. Now, I know that's a hard pill to swallow, and that's more of a workshop conversation. Some of y'all got to work with me a little bit more privately. Some of y'all think you know me on freebies, but you don't know yourself until you get into the room. It's another thing. Some of y'all who ever been in the room and did the work in the room, testify. I wish I had my clappers. I can't find my clappers. You can't stay on the sideline. That's a contract and agreement. You got to invest in yourself. You got to show up. We're talking about how this shows up. I said, now that all that fire came from this one question. What are some of the lessons I came here with an agreement to learn? That was a difficult one for me. That's why I have so much fire around it. I almost got mad at my master coach But I was in a workshop setting. So he was able to work with me and because I was a metaphysician, I had a spiritual foundation to understand universal law. And some of you all want to have you want to take the leap, but you doubt, you won't do the work of getting the foundation to understand how laws work. Spiritual law, laws of commerce, laws in jurisprudence. So we rather have emotion. Okay, let me keep going. Do I have a contract around visibility that aligns with my current business and business model? I'm stomping my feet. Because some of us have a contract with invisibility, but we say we want to be seen, supported, appreciated, even in dating. Just let them pick me. I'll just be a pick me. And so whatever comes to you, you accept. Whatever sees you, you accept. Somebody say you walking heavy. Come on now. So I'm gonna go a little lighter. Oh Lord. Oh Lord. Okay. How does my spiritual gifts influence my contract with love? How does my spiritual gift influence my contract with sex and sensuality? How does my spiritual gifts influence my contracts with money? Nothing just happens. Nothing just happens. Now, if I'm walking heavy and you think that I can honestly unpack the layers of what we just laid out today online in this format, especially if you all have done any work with me, y'all know you're selling yourself short. I'm inviting you to get ready. If you feel like this is an ouch or an amen for you, and you want to play a different game, we're going to do a little bit of a part 2 for this, but we're going to dive into this. This is something I've been holding in my belly for maybe 3-4 years, maybe longer. I talked about it a little bit last time in this Feminine Abundance series. In fact, the baby has gotten so heavy that it's time for delivery that I've had to restructure the Queen's Piece. So if you're in the Queen's Piece mastermind, make sure you listen to the audio, because you are going to get the benefit of being a first responder. Now, those of you who are here, I want you to also get the benefit of being a first responder, so that you can get the link, you can get the early birds, you can get a way to do it, a way out of no way, so that you can do this. This feminine source code is the feminine leadership edition of New Mind, New Money. But we're not just focusing on money. We are focusing more on the definition of money, the spiritual definition of my own natural energy yield in terms of your feminine leadership. And this is why I think that those who have participated in New Mind, New Money, this will help you to connect the dots even more, particularly for entrepreneurs, those of you who are in leadership, those of you who are the ones in your family, I call the chosen ones. You may have thought you were the black sheep, the weirdos, the outcasts, the outliers, whatever the case may be, the empaths, the healer. This is going to help you, because it helped me. It helped to increase my bottom line. It helped me to increase. I don't do sales calls. Y'all don't see me out here doing that kind of promotion. This right here is my ministry. And I have been, and now as a priest, I've been even more obedient about how to line that up and separate what's ministry and what's marketplace, because in between ministry and marketplace is not martyr. And I'm talking to some of you all who have nonprofits, who have a calling for service. Martyr is not in the middle of ministry and marketplace. All right. Okay. Let me hush. Let me catch what you said. You said, oh, yeah, you caught that? You caught that. The answer is in the same room with the question. Why have I been born? How do I find my unique voice? What? Come on, scribe over here. Who is that scribing for a sister, for the tribe in here? Okay, you caught that. Stop playing games on the bench. Get off the bench. Get off the bench. I'm going to allow you to be able to experience yourself. The stuff I teach, whether you are a juicy butterfly, you all know that if you've done 6 months with me, and certainly if you've done 9 months in a year, there's some private clients who they stay in the process, right, until they get it. But when you understand that what I'm doing, you can't pay for it. Not like that, because the businesses that are created from what I've taught, the confidence, the marriages that's been saved, the families that's still together. How you put a price point of $9.99 on it. Jay-Z, I wish I could spit it like Jay-Z said. He said, you want $1 million worth of game for $9.99. Oh, yes. Hey, sister. Hey, juicy butterfly. You said you breaking chains. That's my intention, to break some chains up in here. In fact, that is one of the reasons why I am delivering this workshop within around the time of Easter. Yep. Before we can even do another juicy rites of passage, there are some things Spirit said we have to put in place. Got to put in place. Nothing just happens. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, you say you need to be in the room? Oh, come on in the room. Come on in the room. Come on, come on, come on, come on in the room. What are the lessons and agreements that I came to learn? Yes, because sometimes we're still holding where we are and what we experience as though it wasn't supposed to be. But what if you know better? What if you know that? And this is another big one. I so appreciate the scribe who caught this. What are the archetypes of my inheritance? Because some of us could be borderline personalities disorders. And I'm just saying, because your mother may not have ever got treated, your father may not have ever got treated. There could be another. We look at it for addiction, but we don't look at it for the other patterns in our lives of the agreements and the contracts. See, an addiction really is an agreement not to feel, to go numb, to escape. But anywho, let's see what else y'all got. How do I find my unique voice? Why have I been born? Yes, all the filters. Okay, here's a big drop right here. I gave up on all cookie cutter workshops. That's why I've chosen to have ease and allow and attract my desires. I didn't go to business school, but I've been in business for over 22 years. So institutional type stuff, I don't get it. And I'm honest about that now. Yes, but there still is a space for you. Still is a space for you. You do not have to resign there. Still is a space for you, because I didn't go to business school either. In fact, I can remember when an ex of mine used to say, you are a natural at this, and this. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I ain't trying to do that. No. But, if I had not been so resistant, oh my God, I would have been a young millionaire. Even though I was, but I would have been my own money. But I had hidden contracts and agreements about being a kept woman. Okay, I'm telling on myself. Sometimes you just got to tell on yourself too. Okay, Oh, being outed by family because I will no longer live in secrets and lies. Yes, absolutely. Now that's a big one. And outing can be all types of family outing you. You know, some people hide their spirituality when they grow up in a very traditional family, and some families threaten if you don't practice this, particularly in a few religions that I could throw out right now, that if you are not that, you all should watch some of these international programs like 90 Day Fiance. That's one of mine. I love 90 Day Fiance, honey, because I lived abroad. And so I love the cult. I love looking at culture and belief systems. People can be set free if you learn how your cultural norms, you take it somewhere else and just throw up on somebody else and make them wrong. Oh my God, we could talk. We should just do a watch a 90 Day Fiance. Okay. Yes. Somebody said addiction is a contract not to feel. Yep. Yep. So if you're interested and you want to be one of the first responders and you want to get all of the link and all of this good stuff, all you got to do is DM me today. All you got to do is DM me. I'm in. You got to declare it. I'm all in. I'll send you the details and we'll make it happen. I want to work with the folks that's been here working with me. Even if you watch the replay, we have about 24 hours, maybe 48. Because I really want you to have it. I'm not really trying to make it so that you can't get it. I really want you to have it because I see so many ways to support so many of you. I see the games y'all play of dipping in, dipping out. I see the games y'all play of let me just show up for the free. Let me just, got a lot of mouth about this, but I'm not willing to do that, or you know what I mean? And you want change, and I want to change, but I can't want it more than you. So, because of the way that we're going to be pouring out, I do absolutely want you to just declare all in. Speak a thing that is not as though it shall be. Even if don't see it, you have to declare it and decree it, just like I do when it's time for me to play a bigger game. So I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. I love this session. Did you enjoy this today? There's more. I'm going to bring you more around that but I don't want to give too much away, but there is more because once we start getting into it, you are going to have some ahas that really are going to free you up and allow you to move in your style. So I love you again, and there's nothing you can do about it. If this was something that served you, just let me know. Let me know. All right. So I'm not gonna wait for the system to catch up to your thumbs and your fingers. Just DM me, that I'm all in, and I know you're gonna be talking about the feminine source code. I'm gonna get you the link, and this feminine abundance series continues to be so amazing of how it's opening spaces for us. And I want to continue to open spaces for our abundance, for us, for the business of family, for us to play a bigger game, for us to show up and show out. See you all on the other side.